Good evening and many thanks for joining us tonight, the third day of August, the year 2026. It's a day that a lot has happened in the world of politics in regard to the ongoing discussion about the nature of political temperature in the country, given the fact that the country is heading into the next year's general election. Now, the question is all about which side is right and which side is wrong, and whether the application of the law indeed follows the outlined procedure and standards as outlaid in the 2010 Constitution. Now, this is a matter of discussion that continues to elicit a lot of reaction. Remember, according to the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, at least 10 senior leaders in the countries are being investigated into the allegations of incitement. And this is a very ripe discussion that comes at a time when different faction at one particular point has been accused of propagating hate speech. Now, the big question is the law itself very selective when it comes to dealing with incitement cases, or rather the alleged incitement cases that were witnessed in the country? Is it a matter of who holds the power and who does not hold the power? Of course, that will be forming the basis of our bulletin tonight, and we still have much and more lined up for you, from the world of politics all the way to the business. And of course, my goodness, we have a jam-packed bulletin for you, including for the lovers of sport, even as we contemplate and reflect on the performance of the women national football team, Harambee Starlets, their campaign that ended in disarray. What are some of the lessons that we carry on from Morocco? Is it time now to reflect and rekindle our hopes once again, pick from the dust, and continue pushing with what we have been looking for quite a while? After 10 years of missing in action, eventually our ladies got the opportunity to be on the global stage, but yet again, or shall I call it the continental stage, but yet again they missed a very important opportunity without registering any win in this regard, not even scoring a single goal. Now, that is what we have in line for you in the next 40 minutes or so. This is what to expect.
This is Kutv Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Right, my good name is Auma Evans, and of course, remember you can follow this broadcast on all of our social media platforms. We are coming to live on YouTube at KUTV News Kenya. You can tweet us on X at KUTV_Kenya, at Auma Evans, the hashtag to use, State of the Nation. So tonight, we begin in the corridors of justice. Now, Mkurweni Member of Parliament John Kagushia has been denied, or rather, has been denied charges of offensive conduct over remarks he allegedly made during a public rally in Nyeri County. Appearing before the Milimani Law Courts, the legislator pleaded not guilty and was released on a cash bail of 250 Kenyan shillings pending the hearing of the case. Prosecutors claim the remarks were likely to incite a breach of peace, with the matter scheduled for hearing on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Right, now to some other stories. Now, President William Ruto has unveiled an enhanced welfare package for community health promoters, including monthly stipends, government-funded SHA healthcare cover, and digital smartphones to support healthcare delivery. Now, the government says the new incentives will strengthen primary healthcare, improve digital reporting, and boost the rollout of universal health coverage by empowering frontline healthcare workers across the country.
Bwana Mbadi, uende sasa utafute pesa katika budget ambayo tutatengeneza mwezi wa 11, 12, tuwawekee hawa watu pesa walipiwe SHA. Kila village elder, yeye, mke wake ama bibi yake ama bwana yake na watoto wao wawekwe katika mpango ya SHA.
Right now, President William Ruto has taken his economic agenda to the grassroots, rallying thousands of village elders to support his administration development agenda while defending his government's economic reforms. Speaking at State House Nairobi, the president said empowering community and leaders is central to delivering the benefits of bottom-up economic empowerment transformative agenda to ordinary citizens.
The village elders, addressing thousands of grassroots leaders drawn from across the country. The head of state insisted that Kenya's, at a time when the government's economic record continues to dominate the national political conversation, President William Ruto turned to one of the country's oldest leadership structures, the village elders, addressing thousands of grassroots leaders drawn from across the country. The head of state insisted that Kenya's economy is steadily recovering and challenged the elders to become ambassadors of development within their communities.
Kuna wengi wanapinga maendeleo. Mimi nataka niwaulize, nyinyi mnaopinga maendeleo, nyinyi mnaopinga housing, nyinyi mnaopinga SHA, nyinyi mnaopinga ile model tuko naye ya kusomesha watoto wetu, mpango wenu ni gani? Tumeelewana jameni? Na mimi nimesema hivi, tukimaliza hiyo mjadala, ile economic development tutakubaliana nayo, ile development ya Kenya tutakubaliana nayo, tutaweka ndani ya sheria. Ndio hakuna mtu tena ataturudisha nyuma.
To reinforce that commitment, President Ruto announced a monthly stipend of 3,000 Kenyan shillings for village elders, government-supported social health authority coverage, and capacity-building programs aimed at strengthening grassroots administration. He maintained that empowering local leadership will accelerate service delivery and ensure government's program reach every household.
Na ni kati ya sera ambayo tulikubaliana wakati mmenipa nafasi ya kuwa kiongozi katika taifa letu la Kenya. Niliwaeleza ya kwamba tutaanza pale chini katika program ya bottom up. Na sio peke yake jambo ambalo tunafanya leo. This is not a one-off event. This is a program of action that we undertook and we committed ourselves to do as a government.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen described village elders as the backbone of community leadership, saying their contribution to peace building, conflict resolution and national cohesion deserves formal recognition. He said strengthening grassroots institutions is essential in supporting both development and stability across the country.
National Police Service, led by the Inspector General who's here, have moved strongly to ensure that we are fighting all cases of goonism. And I'm happy that there is a great progress in places like Busia, in Kitale, in Bungoma, in Nakuru, where there was an operation recently, even here in Nairobi. We promise you, Your Excellencies, that we will intensify the process to get rid of all acts of political violence, even as we progress together to the next elections.
Today's meeting not only underscored the government's plan to formalize and support village elders, but also highlighted President Ruto's continued effort to anchor his economic agenda at the grassroots, where its impact will ultimately be measured. Brian Auma, KUTV.
All right, and the civil society organization under the Coast Civil Society Network are calling for the independent investigation into allegations of bribery during the impeachment of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The lobby group says the claim raised serious concerns about the integrity of Parliament and could undermine public confidence in Kenya's democratic process.
Is mounting for a credible probe into alleged bribery during former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment, with core civil society groups urging investigators to establish the fact and ensure accountability. The Haki Africa Rapid Response Officer Matthias Chipeta said allegations of bribery involving lawmakers requires an independent investigation, urging anti-corruption agencies to establish the fact and ensure those responsible are held accountable.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to take swift action or legal action, or even conduct investigations to uncover sufficient evidence of criminal conduct. Number 3, the Parliamentary Service Commission and Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Committee to institute internal accountability mechanisms, review the conduct of members implicated by the allegations, and strengthen safeguards to protect the integrity of the parliamentary proceedings.
The civil society groups urge leaders who made bribery allegations to submit evidence to investigators, avoid politicizing the matter, and allow due process, warning that recurring corruption claims continue to erode public confidence in governance.
All legislators and public officials who have publicly alleged that the existence of bribery to immediately cooperate with investigators by recording formal statements and submitting any documentary, electronic, financial or testimonial evidence.
Na ni uchungu sana, uchungu kuona kwamba waheshimiwa wenye sisi wa Kenya tumewachagua kwenda kututetea haki zetu, hao ndo wa kwanza kuchukua hongo. Na hii iwe funzo kwa sisi wananchi, come next year 2027 tuchague viongozi ambao wanaenda kutetea haki, si viongozi ambao wa kwanza kuchukua hongo.
Fresh bribery claims surrounding Gachagua's impeachment have intensified scrutiny of the National Assembly and the Senate, with calls for leaders to uphold the integrity standards set out.
Kwa kweli sisi kama wananchi tumeghadhabishwa, na tungeomba wale wabunge wote ambao walipokea hizi pesa waende katika maeneo bunge yao na wakaelezee watu wao kwa nini wao walichukua hizi pesa, nia gani waliokuwa nayo, na kwa nini hawa wabunge hawakuwaleta pamoja wananchi na kuuliza kwamba wanamtaka Gachagua ama hawamtaki. Kwa nini wao kuchukua pesa kwa niaba yao peke yao bila ya kuhusisha jamii zile ambazo wanatoka katika maeneo bunge?
As calls for accountability grow, attention now turns to whether investigative agencies will act on the allegations and whether any findings will strengthen public confidence in Kenya's democratic institutions. Edna Nerea, KUTV, Nairobi.
All right, thank you, Edna Nerea, for that comprehensive coverage. Now, let's talk matters politics. Now, the contest for President William Ruto's running mate ahead of the 2027 general election is gathering momentum, with the ODM party maintaining it will settle for nothing less than the country's second-in-command office. The party's push for DP post has intensified debate over President William Ruto's running mate, as Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki faces a growing pressure following the ODM party leader's Oburu Odinga declaration that he will also be vying for the position. Our political affairs reporter Vincent Karoli with the full details.
Party leader Oburu Odinga has become the latest to declare his readiness to serve as President William Ruto's deputy.
Ruto is giving power to...
While addressing the village elders in State House, Oburu Odinga said he's fit to become the second in command as he supports William Ruto's bid to be re-elected for the second term.
Kura ikikuja wakati huu sisi ODM hatutakuwa na candidate wetu ni President William Ruto. But all the other positions are negotiable. Particularly number 2. Don't you think I deserve to be number 2? Because that is what our concept. Can I not be number 2? Mimi nimetosha.
ODM is pushing for the deputy president's position ahead of 2027, with Blue Economy and Mining Cabinet Secretary Hassan Joho, Cabinet Secretary for SMEs Wycliffe Oparanya, Kisii Governor Simbarati, and ODM party leader Oburu Odinga among those linked to the seat, with the party insisting that they will not accept anything other than the DP slot.
The presidential candidate must be the party leader of the party. We cannot therefore talk about somebody else being a party presidential candidate, yet the party leader who's supposed to be the candidate is there. And I'm not afraid to say things because the truth must be said and it will not rot. The truth will remain. Party leader in the constitution.
On the other hand, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki's camp has maintained that Kindiki will remain President William Ruto's running mate, condemning ODM orchestrating scheme to push Kindiki out of the deputy president seat.
Jameni wananchi, nchi yetu ya Kenya ni fire si fire.
The Oburu's remarks add a new twist to the political realignments ahead of the 2027 general election, with the ODM-UDA alliance expected to shape the presidential ticket. Vincent Karoli, KUTV, Nairobi.
Now let me take you to Embu County. Now, a section of residents from Runyenje constituency have condemned the alleged incitement remarks made by Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku, insisting that the statement do not reflect the views of the Embu community. The residents are calling on the leaders serving in senior government position to uphold national unity and exercise responsibility or other responsible leadership in their public statements. Petra Faith with the details.
The arrest of John Philip Gishohi Kagushia, the Member of Parliament for Mokorene constituency in Nyeri County, has intensified the country's political temperature, particularly on leaders' incitement. Kagushia was detained overnight at Kamukonji police station before being arraigned at Milimani law courts after police reportedly declined to grant him bond.
The charge sheet must disclose who was threatened. The charge sheet must disclose who was abused. The charge sheet must disclose who was insulted. Otherwise, the accused person, who is not just a member of parliament, but an advocate, cannot plead to such a charge, which doesn't say.
Runyenje's residents in Embu County reiterated that the remarks made by the Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku do not reflect the position of the Embu community, stressing that leaders entrusted with national responsibility should focus on fostering peace and cohesion rather than dividing communities. They maintain that the Embu community does not support politics that create divisions among Kenyans, noting that its members live and conduct business peacefully across different parts of the country.
Na tumesikia vibaya sana wakati mmoja wetu na ni mtoto wetu wa kutoka eneo hili la Embu, kila wakati akifungua kinywa chake anasema ya kwamba mulima ikatike. Na tunataka kumwambia kwa heshima zote, Bwana CS, tafadhali, mulima haiwezi katanishwa. Mulima itabaki imara.
Amid rising ethnic tensions, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has summoned Cabinet Secretary Ruku over alleged hate speech. Health CS Aden Duale and former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua have also been ordered to appear before the commission.
Mheshimiwa Ruku, kitu ya kwanza ambayo ningetaka kukuambia, wewe sio mwanasiasa. Wewe ni waziri, na waziri kazi yake iko kwa ofisi, sio kwa viwanja vya siasa. Mumeanza siasa mapema sana, na siasa ambazo unafanya ni siasa za kulete kugawanya watu.
Embu, Meru na Kikuyu, hiyo ni nyumba moja ambayo tuliachiwa na wazee waliokuwa mbele zetu. na hatutaki tugawanyika hata kidogo.
The residents expressed confidence that unity among communities in Mount Kenya region will remain strong, urging leaders to champion inclusive politics that strengthen national cohesion as the country heads toward the next election period. Petra Faith, KUTV.
And now the arrest of Mukurweini Member of Parliament John Kagusha has escalated political tension, triggering sharp reaction from government leaders, opposition figures and Kenyans online. The Democracy for Citizens Party allied legislators spent the night at Kamkunji police station after police reportedly declined to release him on bond ahead of his appearance at the Milimani Law Courts today. Edward Nyamu reports.
The arrest of John Philip Geshohi Kagusha, the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency in Nyeri County, has intensified the country's political temperature, particularly on leaders' incitement. Kagusha was detained overnight at Kamukonji police station before being arraigned at Milimani Law Courts after police reportedly declined to grant him bond.
The charge sheet must disclose who was threatened. The charge sheet must disclose who was abused. The charge sheet must disclose who was insulted. Otherwise, the accused person, who is not just a member of parliament, but an advocate, cannot plead to such a charge, which doesn't say whom he threatened. The only person who has been mentioned in the charge sheet, and if it is not said he was threatened, is a Kasongo, who we don't know who it is.
The MP's lawyer, led by Advocate Ndegwa Njiru, accused the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, ODPP, of defying a court order directing that he be released on bond. They argue that the charges preferred against him were not supported by the law.
You are told that our client ought to take plea for offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace. And the conduct is as a consequence of his utterance. And you're told, Your Honor, that there was an interpreter who has interpreted the language from Kikuyu language to English language. Your Honor, we need to look at that propriety of the interpretation itself.
Leaders in government led by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah have urged political leaders to avoid inflammatory remarks, warning that incitement could undermine peace and national unity. On his part, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who has been on the receiving end for allowing goonism and insightful politics, echoed the call, urging politicians to exercise discipline and refrain from sentiments capable of provoking violence.
Nimesikia juzi mwingine akisema ati wenye watachagua William Ruto huko Kieni ati watatafutwa mpaka chini ya vitanda. Tunataka tuwaambie huyo ni shetani wa ukabila ambayo ni lazima ashindwe. Ashindwe asishindwe. Ashindwe asishindwe. Na nimesikia wale viongozi wa kabila, wakati kiongozi anasema kitu, wewe kama unajiita kiongozi wake, wacha kumtetea sababu amechukuliwa hatua ya kisheria.
The case has generated widespread debate, with many Kenyans demanding accountability and equal application of justice, while some supported action against leaders accused of incitement.
They don't know the cost of incitement, what it costs us. From TikTokers, some of them are cost incitement. Now it's worse that a fully grown politician like Duale, like Hassan Omar, like the ones in DCP can cause incitement. It is really something that is really annoying.
Na serikali ikianza kuangalia makushika, ijaribu kushika hii side na hii side, ina balance, sio kushika side moja. Juu wote wanaongea vibaya.
The opposition has, however, argued that Kagusha's overnight detention reflected selective enforcement of the law and was intended to suppress dissent. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
All right, 29 minutes past 9 o'clock. Time to take our very first break here on KUTV State of the Nation. Remember, we still have much and more lined up for you after the break.
sana lugha. Lugha ni zaidi ya maneno. Ndio maana sisi Waswahili kila siku tunaitumia kazini, mitaani, kwenye mapenzi na katika jamii. Jiunge nami Padironga kila Jumapili katika Mawimbi ya Lugha, tukichambua Kiswahili kwa undani, maana yake, mabadiliko yake na nafasi yake katika maisha yetu. Kutoka utambulisho, mapenzi hadi mustakabali wa lugha yetu. Mawimbi ya Lugha kila Jumapili, usikose saa 2.
Wanasema kula uhondo kwa taka matendo, na bila shaka matendo yake yakazaa uhondo. Bidii na panda shuka zake zikamfanya awe mwanga wa dunia.
Pauline Care ni mwalimu wa walimu. Nilikuwa ninataka kufanya kwa mochari.
Nilijitolea kimasomaso, nikasema manake nimeenda shule kama wenzangu wa kiume, nitafanya kazi kadri na uwezo wangu.
Inafika mahali ile game yenye umesema hiyo ndio naenda ku give up na uachane na boxing, ndio unapata WBC.
Fahamu mwanamke huyu kwa utendeti zaidi ukitazama kipindi cha Mwanamke Mwake Mwake. Kila Jumatano saa 2:30 usiku, ukiwa nami Caroline Kimwele.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Right, welcome back and thank you for keeping it State of the Nation. So let's continue to inform you. Now, breast changes are a normal part of life for many women, but experts say unusual changes should never be ignored. Health professionals are urging the public to understand the difference between normal and abnormal breast changes, noting that although rare, breast cancer can also affect men.
As the world celebrates the Breastfeeding Week every 1st to 7th August, medical experts say women experience natural breast changes throughout life, but any unusual lump or change should be examined promptly. Dr. Mohammed Bilal, a breast specialist, also reminds the public that men can develop breast cancer, though at a very lower rate than women.
Okay, what we mean is we get all the services at the same point, from screening, diagnostic, treating surgical part, and also going to the oncological part, which is provision of the chemo, and what I mean is review from the clinical oncologists and the radiotherapy experts.
Explaining breast care, Dr. Bilal states that it's all about getting all the services at the same point, from screening, diagnostics, treating surgical parts, and provision of chemotherapy, where they provide reconstruction and counseling services.
Breast cancer can happen to even male patients. We have a very small percentage, which is around 1% or less. Male patients usually get breast cancer. In fact, I have one patient who's going to operate next week. It's a male patient. And it's not like it's common, but it happens.
As a precaution measure, men have also been advised to take any change in their breasts seriously and go for regular checkups.
Taking this high-dose contraceptive tablets, So all these things which can be controlled, and then it can enable you to decrease the risk of having breast cancer. But some factors which, as I explained earlier, which you cannot control, like being a woman, elderly, early menarche, late menopausal, maybe having family history, genetic components, those things we can't.
Health experts encourage everyone to seek medical attention for any unusual changes and remember that early detection remains one of the most effective ways to improve breast cancer outcomes.
Now, Engineer Harrison Keter has been elected President of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya following a historic electronic election that recorded the highest voter turnout in the body's history. And as KUTV's Akida Kasim reports, Keter has pledged to unite the engineering fraternity, strengthen professional development and engineering education, and is urging the government to give Kenyan engineers a greater role in implementing national development projects.
Engineer Harrison Keter has been elected as president of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, following an electronic election held on Monday that saw more than 75% of registered members cast their votes. According to the chairperson of the Election Supervisory Committee, Engineer Stephen Auma, a total of 2,181 out of 2,883 registered voters participated in the election, with provisional result released just 20 seconds after polling closed at 6 p.m.
And we are happy to report that all members of IK who are in the register of voters and turned up to vote were able to vote. And that is unprecedented in the management of elections in our institution. We were receiving comments from members, and all comments we received were supporting the transparency, the efficiency, and the ease with which they were able to vote.
Auma said the digital voting system was transparent, secure, and efficient, adding that all members who turned out were able to vote without experiencing any challenges. Speaking after his victory, Keter said the election marks a new chapter for the engineering profession and demonstrates that technology can enhance transparency and credibility in the electoral process.
That engineers can govern themselves and engineers can lead the way. And indeed, we all know that electoral processes have always been marred with various challenges. But here standing with you today are engineers who have just concluded an electoral process, electronically conducted, which has been fair, credible, and we are going to confirm its very viability. But going by things and going by the knowledge we know of innovation as engineers, we know that is something we have achieved.
Keter pledged to unite engineers across the country, strengthen engineering education, mentor young engineers, and improve human resource development within the profession. He also called on policymakers to ensure that major national development projects create more employment opportunities for local engineers by giving them a greater role in their implementation.
I want to thank my competitor, Engineer Ramadan Butichi, who was also a presidential candidate. This is the second time we are meeting on the ballot. And of course, this is the second time I'm flooring him. And of course, this is the second time we are shaking hands. That is the spirit of leadership. And that's the spirit of good politics.
The official election results are expected to be announced during the IEK annual general meeting on August 19th, when the new governing council will officially assume office for a 2-year term ending in 2028. Akida Kasim, KUTV.
Now, and the Bajuni community in Lamu County is demanding a legally binding agreement before the proposed 2.2 trillion oil refinery project gets underway. While expressing support for the investment, the community wants indigenous residents to be fully involved in the negotiations and guaranteed a fair share of project's benefit. Now, accusing political leaders of excluding the community from key decision-making over the multi-billion project, or rather the multi-trillion project development, as Milka Thuo now tells us in the following report.
The Bajuni community in Lamu County is demanding a legal binding memorandum of agreement with the Dangote Group before construction of the proposed 2.2 trillion oil refinery can commence. The leaders say they support the investment but accuse political leaders of sidelining the host community from discussions surrounding the multi-billion shillings project. Speaking on behalf of the Bajuni Council of Elders, Badisomo said the agreement should clearly outline employment opportunities for local residents, a share of the refineries project and community development projects.
We are welcoming the project as soon as today. But we don't want to become flower girls in this project. We want full involvement in this project. We want in every table of discussion, we have a seat as community. In every table of decision making, we want a seat.
The community is also calling for meaningful public participation throughout the project's planning and implementation. They proposed that at least 70% of jobs created by the refinery be reserved for Lamu residents.
Tuwe na vijana kuajiriwa kazi 70%. Vijana kwenda kusomeshwa zile kazi ambazo ziko pale, vijana wetu ndio wakasomeshwe. Pili, faida inayopatikana pale ya baada ya kumaliza kila kitu, I mean net profit, at least tupate 2%.
Religious leaders and community members cited the LAPSET project as an example of development that failed to adequately benefit local residents.
Huu mradi watokota chini kwa chini moto wake, si kwa sababu ya kupingwa kwa mradi, ni kwa sababu wananchi wa Lamu huja miradi tofauti tofauti hawahusishwi. Viongozi wao kaamua katika meza na ikaonekaniwa ni wananchi wamekubali hilo swala. Kuna mradi wa LAPSET na mengine katika hao. Huu mradi wa LAPSET, hebu watoke viongozi kama vile sisi tulivyotoka, waseme walikaa kuwahusisha common mwananchi.
The community now wants the Dangote Group together with the national and county governments to begin direct consultation with residents and sign a legal binding agreement before the proposed refinery projects proceeds. They insist meaningful public participation and guaranteed local benefits will determine the project's long-term success. Milka Thoya, KUTV.
All right, and more than 100 executives and professionals have graduated from a 12-week leadership programs designed to strengthen management skills, improve business performance, and build more resilient organizations. Now, the initiative organized by the Civ Skills Limited aims to equip leaders with practical strategies that drive innovation, productivity, and economic growth across various sectors.
While speaking at the graduation ceremony where graduates from diverse sectors, Civ Skills Limited's Chief Executive Officer Vincent Otumbo has urged graduates to think of their certificates as a commitment to greater responsibility rather than the end of their learning journey.
Leaders who are graduating, one in absentia because she's in a call, have demonstrated resilience during the program, character, and the willingness to be transformed. And at Civ Skills Limited, we believe that leadership is not about titles or positions. Leadership is about influence. It's about responsibility and service. It's about leaving people and organizations and communities better than you found them.
The stakeholders present highlighted the importance of partnerships and good relations in expanding employment opportunities for many young people.
The idea is we connect with the private sector, and the private sector is the one that gives us the opportunities. They trust us with the opportunities, and then we now source candidates through Omar and the rest of the team.
With the program concluded, more professionals across Kenya and Africa are encouraged to take part in the training, which emphasizes highly on the value of leadership and commitment across various fields. Rajab Juma, KUTV.
Right now, it's time to take a look at some of the stories making headlines in the world of sports. Now, Kenya's long-awaited return to the continental showpiece ended in disarray without a point after a 2-0 defeat to Algeria at the Olympic Stadium in Rabat. The Beldino Demba-led charge wound up their Women Africa Cup of Nations campaign with a bitter taste after losing 4-0 to host Morocco and 1-0 to Senegal in Group A. Kenya made their WAFCON debut in Cameroon in 2016, where they scored 2 goals but were eliminated at the group stages, also without tasting victory in the continent's premier women football competition. Now, still matters football. Football Kenya Federation, or FKF, has trained its first cohort of 90 football scouts in a move aimed at strengthening grassroots talent identification across the country. The newly trained scouts have been deployed to the ongoing Kenya Secondary School Sports Association National Games in Thika, where they are assessing emerging players and submitting reports to FKF Central Scouting Database. The Federation says the initiative is part of long-term strategy to build a strong talent pipeline for Kenya's under 15 and 17 national teams. KSS Sports Talent, the battle for semi-finals, or rather, that is regard with what is going on in the Secondary School Sports Association, which is critical area of this event.
I want to thank Kenya Football Federation for whatever they are doing, especially at the grassroots level, for coming up with the initiative we are could train scouts, maybe who can understand the essence of scouting. As per now, we have identified the talents, and maybe on 8th and 9th, we will be having trials all over the country at the regional level for both girls and boys for under 15 national team, which is going into the camp very soon.
All right, now the battle for semi-finals places the battle for semi-final places has intensified at the ongoing Kenya Secondary School Sports Association KSSA Term 2 National Games in Thika, as teams fights to keep their hopes of national glory alive. With the preliminary group stages nearing its conclusion, Kakamega High School and Kenya Highway Schools have already booked a place in the boys' football semi-finals, while Archbishop Njenga Girls and Nyakach Girls are leading the race in the girls category. The tournament champions will earn the honor of representing Kenya at the Federation of East Africa Secondary School Sports Association Games in Tanzania. Right, so that is modern sports. When it comes to the affairs of football in the country, one particular thing that is very ripe in the minds of many is the Harambee Starlets, the missed opportunity to at least advance to the knockout stages of the Women Africa Cup of Nations that is currently ongoing in Morocco. And of course, Harambee Stars finished bottom of Group A with 0 points and without scoring any goal in that particular moment. And of course, just like they say, we live to fight another day, but we hope they have already learned some very critical lessons in that moment. And of course, that is where we leave it at this particular point. But remember, we are still following up on the political speeches versus criminal incitement, where should we draw the line? This is in regard to what has been witnessed, especially during this particular week. A lot of incitement, allegedly, that has sparked a lot of controversy in terms of what should constitute hate speech, or what is just what many will call political expression. And the question is, where should we draw the line? So before we call it a quit, that is what I want to leave you with, a food for thought. As this particular discussion continues to ignite a lot of discussion and debate from each faction, be it the opposition and of course the government, from each section pulling from opposite direction and each holding firm stand in what they believe in. So with that, many thanks for the men and women behind the scene and for all those who made this production a success. A big salute to all our esteemed viewers for always keeping us a company in the last 47 minutes or so. My good name is Auma Evans. Until next time, do have a lovely night, and as always, God bless.